Hello, and welcome back to a very special episode of Drama After Dark. As always, I'm Jackie Bruleigh, this is Andrea Wolanin, and today we have no guest because we are doing a special edition between seasons episode where we have binge-watched the first half of the show Modus, and today we're going to talk about it.
It's been a really exciting binge, actually, because it very much in the literal terms, I watched all 4 episodes of the first half of it in one night, went to bed way too late, came in the next day ready to talk, like, let's do this. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. And the funniest thing is, like, for me, this is, I think, my first official Scandi drama that I've seen. I mean, we've watched Shetland, which is sort of patterned after these, but I don't think I've ever watched a real, proper Scandinavian drama. So
yeah, interesting. To me, it felt a little bit like the Scandinavian version of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, though a little less punk goth.
Yes,
but
I could deal with a little more punk goth.
Yeah,
in
why
Modus,
not?
Actually,
why
that'd
not?
be pretty fun.
Yeah, it already has like an interesting subculture thing going on. So this week we're not doing a timed recap because watching 4 episodes is very hard to narrow down to 30 seconds.
Can you imagine?
Especially with this show. Oh my gosh. There's so much that happens each episode.
So one of the things we wanted to talk about a little bit is like what makes the Scandi genre a little bit different than all the Brit dramas that we often do. So to me, it seems like the main thing is like tone. It's a little darker. It's a little more grim. There's less joking.
Yes, there's definitely less. That's something that you see with them is they're much more serious. It's much more dramatic. I feel like a lot of the mysteries try to temper the subject matter that they're dealing with comedy, or at least dark comedy, from the participants, the detectives. And in this, it's very much like, no, they also have life hardships that they're dealing with in addition to their work hardships.
Yeah. It's almost as if especially like if you think about a Grantchester, they really kind of glamorize the parts of life that are not really glamorous in real life. So like, you've got a priest who's like sort of hard drinking, spends a lot of time just like listening to jazz by himself, which they make look really cool, but is just alcoholism, kind of.
Just a little.
And Endeavor does that too.
Endeavor does that a lot too. Endeavor's very much like what happens when a detective has an antisocial anxiety disorder. Yeah. But it's glamorous.
And in Modus, it's not glamorous at all.
No.
It's just like 2 detectives eating like weird takeout and drinking too much wine together.
Yeah, because there's a lot of hard stuff that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So,
I kinda like it.
Yeah, I like the realism aspect of it a lot in that way. I also like that it feels to me a little bit more like a horror movie in some ways.
Yes,
like
there's much more tension.
There's much more tension, and I think also there's a lot, there's little, not graphic violence, but we actually see the bad things happen on screen a lot more than we do in a lot of the British dramas.
Yeah, when you think about it, most of the murders have already happened. Like, we don't see... We don't see the killer. We know immediately who the killer is on Modus. It's that creepy dude who, by the way, I was reading the Guardian sort of recaps of this just to make sure I was up to date. And they call him the caravan killer.
Oh,
because that's what they call trailers there.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of cute sounding, and he's not cute at all. He's creepy.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
I think it's really interesting. Like that the mystery isn't so much about who it is.
Right.
The mystery is about how they're going to find him.
Right.
And I really like that aspect of it.
And his motivation. I feel like it's one of those secondary things that we get a lot when you're watching, I don't know, like any crime show in the U.S. It's always like about what's the motive for the killer.
Yes.
Like, I want to know that just for my own personal edification while I'm watching this show.
Yes, exactly. And
They've spun a nice web for us.
Yeah, they're definitely making hay of it here, and it's been really fun to follow along.
Are you ready for our next segment?
Yes, I am.
This segment we're calling Hygge It Out.
Oh, that's so bad.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar, the concept of Hygge is it's a Scandinavian idea, and it's about like being cozy. Obviously, we love that.
Yeah, and
we love cozy.
They really lean into that in the Scandi countries. As somebody who's a little obsessed with Iceland, it's always nice to go there, and you're in the nice cozy house with like some cozy like fur on the rug in front of a cozy fire, looking out at a landscape that's just rife with ice and snow and sleet, and you're just like, tea.
Warm and safe.
Beautiful.
Delightful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Warm lights, sweaters.
So this show I think the reason we wanted to talk about this is that if you watch most like American cop shows,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's wearing the same regulation terrible pantsuit.
Mm-hmm. Everybody. And it's also one of those things where it can be just as gritty as this, but they're always wearing like pantsuits.
Yeah.
Very businessy.
Maybe a leather jacket.
Yeah,
if they're like the cool cop who doesn't follow the rules.
It feels very sharp and hard-edged.
Yes. And here, our main detective is wearing a lot of cozy knits.
Yeah, he's got his sweater collection is on point.
I want to steal all of them. And you know
Yeah.
what? I bet they smell amazing too.
Oh yeah, he looks like he smells like pine trees and out of doors and some moss.
Maybe like a little patchouli, but just like a
touch.
Scooch, just a scooch.
Just for an
and
undernote.
A strong hot coffee.
Yes.
Maybe a little anise seed.
Maybe. Who knows?
I like how we just turned this into a what does Ingvar smell like segment, but I'm not mad at it.
Well, it's a cozy smell, that's why.
Yeah, he would smell cozy. And you know who else has a cozy environment?
Who?
Inger's house.
Oh, Inger's house is
boy.
like it's darker, but at the same time, it's one of those where you just feel like you could just sink into all the furniture there.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like especially the kids' room has an element that all the beds all look really fluffy and light and cozy, and they have all those fun little drawings and paintings on the walls and plants, and it feels like a very lived-in safe space.
It's a nice contrast, actually, now that we're talking about this, to Rolf and Marcus's house.
Yes.
Which is gorgeous.
Yes.
Like, don't get me wrong.
Objectively gorgeous.
I want to live there. But it's all these, like, very stark rooms, very modernist furniture, huge windows with which you can, like, gaze sadly into your husband's eyes while
he's in the kitchen.
He's in the kitchen and you're in your study and you've just found out that you need to get more dog food.
Yes. However, their dog, cozy.
Cozy dog. I want to pet that dog.
It's a very cute Weimaraner type thing.
They're so pretty. Yeah.
Little baby.
So this is a cozy show.
It is. It's a great cozy show. Also, Inger has some pretty cozy outfits. She has that nice overcoat that she wears. She wears a lot of rich, warm colors too, I find, which is nice.
I wonder how much of this is that if you're having some like prolonged darkness in your life through this part of the year, you need to warm it up somehow.
100%. That's definitely what it is. Why would you try to be more dark and cold?
That's what's so funny to me about Boston. Like if you look around, everyone's wearing their black puffy coat. Exhibit A. Like, there's not a lot of warmth in our winter wear here.
No.
And people just sort of lean into the, like, gritty sadness of Boston winter where we're like, snow, dirty, coffee, iced, sadness everywhere.
Yes.
Go Bruins.
Yes.
Like,
well, don't come for the Bruins. They're pretty cozy.
I would never. They're pretty cozy. But it's just sort of interesting to me to think about, like, would we all be a little bit happier in this town if we got a little cozier?
I think so. I think we should start wearing a lot more draped sheepskin, personally.
You know what? Be the change you want to see in the world?
Yes.
Next episode, we're going to come back in our coziest outfits.
Exactly. Dressed like Jon Snow.
Yeah.
To the nines.
Perfect.
It's going to be beautiful.
It's one thing we do now.
Yeah. Hygge Jon Snow.
Great. All right. So let's get into, like, our favorite moments of these 4 episodes. We have a few here. Our first one that we put down was that really dark, sort of interesting conversation between the two sisters, Linnea and Stina.
Yes.
When they're staying with the grandparents and they're under the blanket.
Yes.
That was unexpectedly intense.
It was a lot, but I thought it made sense because I feel like when you are a kid, you do have those dark conversations with people your own age, if not necessarily your parents, because it's something you might be afraid to tell your parents because you might not be ready for the truth, but you're sort of testing the ideas out.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot that Stina and Linnea seem to be so much on the same page with each other.
Like, yes, when mom dies, like, you'll take care of me.
Yeah.
Younger sister.
And Linnea's like,
yeah, of course. And we're going to pair it.
Yeah.
Great. Cool.
Yeah.
Weird choice, but that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a bird person.
Yeah. Clearly. Yeah, I thought it was dark, but I thought it was really lovely to show their relationship and how close they are to each other and how accepting they are of each other despite, you know, one being a baby sister and one being, you know, a sister who has some, you know, quirks and things that might make it difficult to be her younger sister.
Well, and given how open they were with each other, I was really convinced for a hot second that Stina was about to tell Linnea about what she had seen.
Yeah, I was nervous about that too.
Which would have been, like, I think really bad because
Yeah.
Linnea would not have kept it in. She would have immediately been like, Mom,
Yeah.
a murder.
I think it also would have been harder for her to process at her age because she's supposed to be like around 6 or 7. And,
I think so, yeah.
you know, it's already hard enough for Stina to process.
Speaking of the kids, I think we also really liked Ingvar's sort of interactions with the kiddos. Specifically, the part where he asks little Linnea if she is cooking him dinner.
Yeah, when she's making the, like, mud pies outside.
Yeah, it was really cute.
And, of course, she yells, "No, they're for Daddy!" Inger is divorced from her husband, so Linnea is very protective of her father.
Yeah. And also, like, the thing that really got to me was when he's carrying the kiddos in from the hotel, like, in his police car, and she, like, just murmurs, like, Dad.
Yeah.
And he gets that sad look in his face, and you're like, oh, a tragic backstory.
Yeah, exactly.
Achievement unlocked.
It's such a good performance moment, too, because you just the way his body language and his face work, you know in that instant that something is not right. And he does such a good job of playing it up while also downplaying it in a way that's really elegant, I think.
Yeah, and it's fun to see that the way that the actors sort of do their jobs in a different language and, like, with a different, I think, set of cultural norms, too.
Yes.
So that's been sort of an interesting experience for us, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely, they definitely have different styles than a lot of British actors, I think, that we're used to seeing in masterpiece shows and mysteries and dramas of that nature.
It's a lot less broad, for sure.
Yes, there's a lot, I think there's almost more opportunity for, like, personalizing your character through emotion and body and face than there is through words. You know, I think, like, this story is told by how you're performing it, not what you're saying, which is interesting.
Here's a good moment. That part where you're just like, oh, a beautiful scene. Look, a lake. And then that guy just, like, rises out of the lake.
Yeah,
like,
with his giant angel wing tattoos.
Nightmare Aquaman.
Yes, the worst Aquaman.
So creepy. So awesome.
Yeah, that part freaked me out, and I really enjoyed it because he's, I love creepy things. That moment was really creepy, and it was also really, like, intense in a cool way. Like, if you're gonna make an entrance into a movie, that's how you make it. You're like,
100%.
Yeah, I'm going to arise from this freezing cold lake so everybody instantly knows I'm amazing.
Do you think they made him film that actually outside?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which makes the actor even more badass that he was able to just like do that. It must have been so cold.
It must have been, but I also feel like, you know, it is Sweden. I feel like they probably have a higher tolerance for the cold
That's
and
true.
also probably a lower temperature level for the ocean. Like, I can't even get in the water in Massachusetts, never mind.
A classic
Think about
moment.
it in Sweden.
Oh, Andrea, bless you. I would love to see you trying to film that scene.
Crying.
You'd be like,
openly weeping.
Not a scary murderer move.
No, not a scary murderer at all.
All right, so our next moment. This is when Rolf calls up Marcus to tell him that the artist is dead. And then he realizes that they're in the same house.
Yes.
Oh.
I thought it was such a good parallel. Again, using placement and scene structure to create what is going on in their life. Like, they're clearly, we're in the same house, but we don't even know the other one's home. And we're split apart by, like, windows. Like, we can see each other, but we don't know what's going on. Like, it was just such a good metaphor for how their relationship is disintegrating over these first 4 episodes and what we see. Or at least how their relationship is strained in these episodes.
Totally. I'm curious to see how that's going to get resolved. And then finally, this was just, like, a really intense, sad moment, but when Isabella's partner, Ulrika, goes to try and find her, and she's, like, knocked on the parents' door and says, like, hey, is your daughter home? And they have assumed that she has convinced the daughter not to come. And so all of that tension and, like, fraught relationship stuff between the parents and the partner, like, come to the surface, and then they both, all 3 of them realize simultaneously, like, oh no, something terrible has happened.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It was really bad.
It was so
yeah.
unpleasant, but just beautifully acted, and, like, the dawning comprehension that something is not right.
Yeah, again, like, another great moment, another great, they have so much backstory there that you learn in, like, 30 seconds just through their like, interaction that I thought was really great.
It was really wonderful. So yeah, there's a lot of great moments in the show. We, of course, want to know what yours are, so, like, drop those in the comment section, and keep us posted, because
there's more to come,
There's
too.
more to come. Yes. Oh my God. I'm so looking forward to the next 4 episodes.
Yes. So much so.
So, speaking of things we like and want to discover.
Yes.
Our top 5 this week is top 5 things that we hope get resolved.
Oh gosh, yes. There's so much.
The back half of this season of Modus. Okay.
Yeah.
So, item number 1, and these are not really in any particular order this week. We couldn't really rank them. The sexual tension between Inger and Ingvar.
Oh my god.
Yeah. From the minute that he showed up, I was like, well, that's gonna happen.
Yeah. He's got such a swagger in this show.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. There's a scene where the girl who he kind of like hooks up with at his station, they talk in the hallway and she's like, oh, anyway, I'll see you later. And she watches him walk away and he's like...
She does a full like...
Yeah.
Ooh.
He like slouches away like, yeah, I know you're watching me leave the room moment.
He's got BDE.
Oh my god.
Big detective energy.
Big detective energy right there. A lot of detective energy.
Yes. That's what that stands for.
Yeah, he definitely has it going on, and Inger is not immune to it.
She also has it going on. She's like
Yes.
top of her field.
Yes.
Very pretty.
Yes.
Like rocks a cool outfit.
Super intelligent.
Knows how to give a good TV interview.
Yeah, knows how to give a great TV interview.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. So that's thing one.
Mhm.
Thing two, what is Murder Guy's deal?
Yeah.
Who's in that picture? What's
Yeah.
going on with Murder Guy?
Yeah. And I think I saw in the preview for next week's episode, for episode number 5, the weird fundamentalist church that he's talking to on the like video phone all the time. That he has.
The like cult guys.
The cult guys, they were like, you know, Sweden is like a bastion of too much freedom and all this stuff, which is hilarious. And it's interesting because it's also, even though this is Swedish, it's also flipping the script we're used to seeing where it's people attacking America for being too free.
Right.
Which it gives us a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see where they go with this. I'm really excited to see if it's a sort of terrorism situation with this fundamentalist guy in church, and who the kid in the picture that he keeps looking at is.
So I have never gotten a good enough look at the guy's face. So when I first saw that picture, I kind of thought he was the child in the picture, and that the older person was supposed to be like his father or something, and he was like adopted by this weird fundamentalist church and is like trying to like get back to his Swedish roots or something. I think I spun like a really weird narrative in my head about Murder Guy, where I was like, oh, he's an orphan and he wants to find his mom. His mom's the bishop. He killed her. Which would be pretty entertaining, but I don't think is what's gonna happen.
If that's what happens at the end, I will give you $100.
You heard it here first, folks. If my crazy theory pans out, I become moderately more wealthy.
And I become significantly more poor.
Yes. Anyway, we'll find out. I'm sure we're gonna find out what's up with Murder Guy. That's gonna happen.
Yeah. If we don't, I will be horrified.
I will be so mad. And I will also be mad if we don't find out this one, which is, what is the bishop's secret?
Yes.
I think we have some theories.
Yes. So in the show, at the end of the last episode, they announced that their theory is that she had a lover who was a woman, and she herself was queer but was hiding it through this marriage. Yeah. And that's why she was a victim.
Yeah.
However, she also was very outspoken for the queer community in her parish, which is what their original thought was.
So one wonders, if that's the case, why would she not just live openly?
Yes.
I think that there's something tied into that very brief moment when Inger is researching her and she finds out that the bishop is very against abortion, even in cases of rape. Like, I think that might be...
Because that's a weird... like
it's a weird detail
freedom. Yeah, you know?
Yes. So I kind of wonder if her son is perhaps a child who is born from like a rape, and maybe if it wasn't her, it was the other woman who's like feeding her husband soup.
Yeah.
Whose name we don't really know.
Whose name we don't know. Who used to be, as a younger woman, a photo on the bishop's desk that she always looked at. Like, maybe it's her girlfriend, but at the same time... maybe they used to have a relationship, which is why she has an older photo of her on the desk, and why the son thinks it looks like his sister, because if they look very similar, it could be his mother.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's a lot going on there, and I feel like the saying she's closeted is just too pat.
Yeah.
Like, that's too easy.
It's the tip of the clue iceberg.
Yeah.
I think we need more depth there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hope the show is going to give it to us.
And I think that they would have told us that when he was sitting down eating soup with what could have been her ex-girlfriend.
I love how much we both fixated on the soup.
Yeah, I really wanted soup after I
think
watched
I did
that.
too. I was just like, I think I wanted some soup. Again, Hygge. Hygge it out. The soup was also cozy.
Very cozy soup.
Yeah. Okay, what else? What is up with Marcus and that artist? Like, did they have an affair?
What is happening?
What is happening?
He's definitely way too upset to be a guy that he's giving a grant to.
Right.
Like.
Right.
I think that they probably had an affair.
I think so too.
He also has that, I mean, they hinted at in the first episode that they never got back to his possible brain cancer.
Oh, right. I totally forgot about the biopsy.
I think there's a lot going, again, another mystery, that
What's
there's a lot
happening
going
with him?
on that we don't think it's what's happening at surface. I think it's going to be one of those where it's just a box and a box and a box and a box, and we're going to keep getting little aspects of it throughout the second half.
Intriguing.
Which I'm looking forward to.
Yes, I'm sure we're going to find out on that one. That's
Yeah.
that's a given.
Yeah.
And then finally, is Stina going to tell her mom what she saw?
Because she kind of said she saw something in this episode.
Right.
But you wonder, because the guy keeps threatening her, if she thinks, like, that's something I can tell mom, but
Right.
I can't tell her anything more. I wonder if she's going to come all the way through to actually telling the police, as much as Inger is trying to protect her from that. If she's going to wind up, helping with, like, a sketch of the guy or something.
That would be kind of cool.
It would be. It would be very difficult for her, though.
Yeah. I feel like she won't have to. I think they're going to solve it without her.
Okay.
I hope so,
Interesting.
anyway.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of a good, gold star to the detectives if they could
Yes.
solve it without their eyewitness.
I know. But it's also one of those where you kind of hope that she can talk about it more, because she kind of needs to. I think that's a lot to keep locked up.
Especially because she clearly was into Isabella. Like, she had seen the shows and, recognized
and
her.
liked her
Yeah.
in some way.
Oh, little Stina.
I know.
Anyway, those are the 5 things that we hope we get resolution on.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing if we get what we want.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
When we watch this, after recording this episode, all of those
Immediately.
at once. Yeah.
Into the conference room we go.
Binge it up.
Mark the day. But before we do that, we got to do our little hot take debate.
Oh boy. Oh, this one's a rough one this week.
Yeah. So Andrea and I have decided that this week we are going to debate, is Inger a good parent or
Yes.
not? Which is a very controversial topic.
It is a very controversial topic, but I think it's very important here, because I think it's easy to go on either side of the opinion.
And also, it wouldn't be a good hot take debate if we made it easy for ourselves.
Exactly. What's the point?
Yeah, we got to make it tough. Do you want to use our little 30-second timer?
For our points?
Yeah, take 30
Yes.
seconds to
Let's-
talk it through.
Let's do it.
Because otherwise, we're not going to get to use it.
Yeah.
And I just love the torture of the little,
It's true.
the little timer.
All right.
So, do you want to tell the people what position you're taking?
Today, I am taking the position that Inger is not a good parent.
Rough stuff.
That I don't think she should be what seems to be the, like, core parent, the primary parent in this relationship with her ex.
Interesting. Well, why don't we have you start if you're ready?
Oh, sure. Okay.
All right. I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock for you.
Okay.
And go!
While I think that women should have a career of their own, I think this is a particularly dangerous one, and she's also not particularly thoughtful when it comes to this. She's dealing with serial killers and going on television and saying what her last name is and that she lives in Sweden, and, like, not a great plan, especially because we find out that she has a really exotic last name for Sweden, so she's not hard to identify, and people know she has children, too. So how do you get to a person?
Intriguing. I'm intrigued. You make good points.
Thank you.
I don't disagree entirely.
And what position are you taking
Well, of
today?
course, I will be taking the position that she's doing just fine, leaving her alone.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
ready. Bring it on.
All right.
Okay, so while I agree with some of what you said, I think that we have different expectations for women than for men, and the main point of contention for her seems to be that she once left her kids on a train. Like, who hasn't done that, honestly? I think every person I know who's an adult was at one point left too long, like, in a store or in the mall or at a library. That was mine. Also, I think she's modeling good behavior by, like, being enriched by her work, and it's something she's clearly good at and cares about. It would be sad for her not to do that.
Yeah, it's true. Rebuttal for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could even, I don't think we need the timer. I think it was just good for opening statements.
Yes. Okay.
Give it some breathing room. Yeah.
My rebuttal is that, yes, she's modeling good parenting. And I don't disagree that we have different standards for men and for women, but I'd also say if it was a man, he shouldn't be the primary parent for these kids. If he's letting people know who he is with a distinct last name and that he has children with people who are actively out to get him, like criminals.
I guess my thing is, we don't really know, I don't know enough about Sweden,
Yeah.
but my understanding is that it's not that big of a country. Like, I feel like you can kind of track down anybody.
I mean,
I don't think that's how they found Stina, I guess, was my thought process. Or
Okay.
that's not how I read the episode, but maybe I misinterpreted that. I just sort of assumed that, like, they knew what she looked like, and
It's Sweden, and they knew who she was.
tracked her down from the hotel records or something.
Okay, I guess that could be something.
You know, I guess he did, murder,
Yeah.
like, stabby guy, did see her. I mean, he got slapped by Inger, actually.
Yes.
I kind of forgot that she hauled
Yeah.
off and smacked him.
Yeah.
So he did see her face. So maybe that's how he put it together. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I think the thing for me is like, if you're, you know, going to work in a criminal field, you might not want to publicize so much
About your life.
And I mean, that's to say also, you know, there's a lot of police officers out there who have kids. But, you know, I feel like more often than not, they're not, you know, authors who put people in jail who are going on the lecture, you know, the interview circuit on television and saying, this is who I am.
I guess my whole thing is, like, in this day and age, so much information is so public about all of us. And, like, with internet trolls the way that they are, like...
So you're saying she could have gotten doxxed even if she wasn't famous.
Right. And I think because she's a woman working in, like, a male-dominated field, it's more likely that she would have gotten doxxed. And from that perspective, I'm like, is it really fair for us to say, like, she shouldn't parent at the same time as she could potentially get doxxed? The question for me, too, is, like, are we worried primarily about the kids being put in danger, or also about the fact that, like, something could happen to her, and then, like, the kids are left without a parent?
I'm
'Cause I think
worried about
both
the
are
kids
worth
being
talking
in
about.
danger, and I think for me also, like, yes, she could have gotten doxxed because of what was on the internet, but at the same time, like, she also in general seems to neglect them a lot. Like, there's that episode in episode 4, I believe, when Stina goes missing, and she and the little and Linnea are home alone. That's either 3 or 4. And it's supposed to be movie day, and Linnea keeps, like, asking her to watch a movie with her, and she promised her to do it, and she never does because she's researching the whole time.
Yeah. I guess for me, I, like, have less of a negative reaction to that, because I'm like, you know, like, kids can learn that they don't always get what they want right away.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. I think this day and age, you can't be a parent and not have that happen at some point where you're like, I'm sorry, like, I've got to do this other thing instead of spending time with you, small child. I'm saving lives.
Well, is she?
She's going to. I think we have to assume.
Well, will she?
She'll catch the killer. She's gonna help Ingvar take down that bad guy.
Well, I'm gonna end this with saying I think you're too optimistic.
Whew. Gotta have some kind of ray of sunshine, or I could never watch crime dramas. I have to believe the bad guy will be caught, especially so he can be put in jail for that bad American accent.
Yeah. Jail for the accent, nothing else.
Yeah, the murders, fine. Your butchery of our southern dialects,
terrible.
To jail. Straight to jail for you.
Jail, Ron, jail.
Yeah, exactly. That's my justice system.
Okay.
Well, I suppose we'll have to disagree to
We'll have to disagree to disagree.
We'll disagree to disagree. No, we'll agree to disagree, but we would love to hear from you out there, audience. Tell us what way you think we should go in this debate. Tell us what thoughts you think we missed. Also, like, if you want to come for any of the other parents on this show, do it.
Yeah, happy to talk about that too.
All down. Yeah, because I don't know that I think. What is her ex's name?
Oh, I forget.
I don't know that I think he's a particularly good parent either. Like, I think he's
like kind of lackadaisical.
Well, he's playing the fun parent. So
Yeah.
he's like never disciplining anyone. He's like, oh, we're gonna go on a museum trip.
We got tortoises.
Yeah, we got tortoises. First of all, ew, don't buy tortoises. I will say, they're creepy. I don't like them. Second of all, he just promises them like a fun field trip without checking with their mom first.
Yeah.
So like he's just like leaned fully into the like no rules at dad's house.
Yeah.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Which makes her look worse by comparison too.
Different argument for a different day.
Yes. Anyway, that's the end of the hot take debate. No one wins.
No one wins.
Everyone loses.
Everyone always loses the hot take debate.
Yeah.
No, well, I've won once. You've won once, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Maybe.
I'm sure. Not today, though.
All right, and now we're going to go into my personal favorite segment. As always, if you like this. So, this week we've both prepared a selection. Mine is called The Man in an Orange Shirt.
Oh.
And it's a
Interesting.
masterpiece show, which came out, I think, a couple years ago. It's on Passport. I thought this was kind of a nice comparison because it's talking a lot about how over the years life has changed for the gay community, both in terms of like acceptance and legal ramifications, but also just in like how families deal with these issues. So the show follows the story of a couple set right after World War II. One of them is like very badly injured in a bombing, and then they like fall in love while he's healing up, only to go back home and like they can't be together because it's still illegal in the UK, which is crazy because this wasn't that long ago. And he ends up, I think it's actually the other character ends up like marrying the woman that he was sort of dating before that, and it's terrible for them. Like there's some real issues. Like she finds out and is really hurt by this, and then this is mirrored by the story of their grandson, who finds out, 3 generations later that his grandfather was gay, and like how that hurt his grandmother, and he's gay also, and so he like uses that as a way to like embrace his sexuality and not just sort of like casually date. He like takes a chance on a relationship because his grandfather couldn't. Yeah, it's a really touching story, and I think it will have some interesting similarities to what we think is going to happen in the sort of back half of Modus, especially looking at the Bishop's story.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think if you like Modus, you might also like Man in an Orange Shirt.
And that's interesting because you came at it a different perspective than I did. Because
Yes.
you came at it at a very, like, a thematic perspective, because it is a lot of about, one of the things I like about Modus is that it talks about all of the queer characters. It's a given with them, and I feel like in the US especially, queer characters are dealt with often as a side character,
Right.
or as a coming of age story, or as a I'm having a tough time in the queer community because I'm coming out, or because of this.
It's like an identity crisis and not just like an identity.
It's just an identity in this, which I thought was great. So that's a really good recommendation.
Thank you.
I went with totally different, and I went for
Yes.
just mood. And my recommendation based on mood, which you've heard me say so many times because I love this show, is The Tunnel.
Yes, which I still haven't watched, and I'm really excited to see.
Oh, it's so
You've
good.
recommended it so many
It's
times.
actually based on a Swedish piece called The Bridge, which I haven't seen that one. But The Tunnel is amazing. It is about the tunnel between France and England and crimes that happen inside of that tunnel, and how 2 separate police officers from both sides have to
Fascinating.
come together and solve them. And they're amazing characters. The female lead is played as if she's on the spectrum, which is really interesting.
Oh, another
Like,
tie-in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, she's very intense, has no people skills, does not want to be close to people, likes being alone, likes doing her thing her way. Really interesting. Very flat affect is how it's played, which is really great. Whereas the male police officer from England is much more effusive, much more off the cuff, which is also a great swap of how characters usually are played.
Those gender roles switched up is
Yes.
kind of fun to see for sure.
So it's definitely a really fun show, and I think there's 3 seasons, they have different crimes each season. I think the crimes get progressively creepier
Ooh.
and worse. It's such a good show, and there's always one overarching crime, and a lot of interpersonal growth in ways that you don't often or always see in these in drama shows or in mystery shows. So yeah, that's my recommendation if you like this.
I love it. Okay, so we've got some strong recs here.
Oh yeah,
Nice. I'm really excited to check out The Tunnel. I've been
I'm
meaning
excited
to
to check
do
out Man in the Orange
it for
Shirt.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm really excited. Come back next week when we will talk about the second half of it, and discuss what we've discovered there, and if we think you should binge the second half of it or just give up.
I don't think we can.
I
ever
don't
say
think
to
we'll
give
get
up.
there.
No. But we could. Who knows?
And don't forget, we'll be coming back in January with Sanditon.
Yes.
It's gonna be so exciting.
Sanditon.
So we went romance drama with Poldark,
Murder
drama, and then we're gonna go back with very light,
Seaside.
fluffy romance.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a roller coaster of emotions for y'all. But join us, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.